I just want to share with you about a couple of the use cases that are the most prevalent that we hear about. And the first one is traffic stops or vehicle crashes or working on the highway. Law enforcement has a real need to be able to identify the operator of the vehicle and also possibly passengers of that vehicle. And so being able to keep track of who the passenger was and who the driver was is important. But being able to identify driving privileges and the identity of that person so they can record it for citations, for warnings, being able to transfer the identity information from what the person provides to whatever technology to where the officer can then transcribe or allow that information to be flowing to a citation or maybe onto the court system is really important. And the identity information is very crucial. So making sure that the correct identity information appears on a citation or on a warning ticket is important. So the information that's shared, it's important that a law enforcement officer understands that this identity belongs to this person. And then the other issue is, in traffic crashes, that was a real strong concern of law enforcement was, what if no one is cognizant and I need to identify people for medical reasons, to notify family? How do I get this information? Traditionally, I go through a wallet or purse and I find this driver's license or ID card. How do I get this information from a mobile device that no one is there to help me with? Can you click the next? And so the other issue we have to be thinking about is what does an officer need? An officer's safety is dire important. Having their hands free, so not having to interact a lot with an identification document. You watch law enforcement officers, and you being one, many times you would take a driver's license from a driver and you would put it in your pocket, just so that way your hands could be free. So it's something to make sure we keep in mind in the mobile world. Law enforcement needs to focus on the people, on the interaction. That's where their attention needs to be at, and not on the transmission of a lot of information, a lot of interaction from a law enforcement officer. It just needs to be focused on the interaction. Efficiency, law enforcement is certainly all about let's make this happen as efficient and as safely as we can. And so making this more efficient with an mDL has a lot of value and a lot of excitement, I think, for all of us that are in this world to see this information being shared more efficiently. Law enforcement does not work always in perfect environments, weather conditions, mountains, valleys, rural, remote areas. So being able to work with identities is important when you're not connected, because it is going to happen. Compatibility. Law enforcement, their vehicles today are equipped with all sorts of wireless technology, and information is being shared wireless within that vehicle. So the compatibility of whatever type of device or information, how it flows, has to be compatible and not interfering with all of the other technology in that vehicle. Interoperability was mentioned earlier because it's so important that an officer has the ability to get identity information from no matter what jurisdiction the person is from or their identity is from. That has to be able to be shared with them, and so without going through a lot of effort and work to get that information from another jurisdiction. Next slide, please. So the other use case I want to share with you about is now we're not in a office setting, we're not in a controlled environment, we're not in our patrol vehicle. Many times law enforcement officers have to be away from this controlled environment. They may be doing bar checks, they may be doing interviews in a residence or an apartment. They may be checking hunting and fishing licenses. And so they're not always going to be in this perfect controlled environment where they're near other technology. But they still have to validate the identity. You can't tell someone, well, just a minute, I'm going to walk back to my car, a mile away and verify this information. I have to be able to do it where I'm at. And that might also include hunting licenses, fishing licenses. That was a question that law enforcement frequently has asked me. Can't there be a way that we can add other licenses to this identity document so we can put it all in one place and not have to sort through some paper documents, some digital documents? But also there's the importance when I'm working remotely is I still have to be able to transfer and record information. So how do I get this identity information from this mobile device that this customer has or this citizen has to the spot that I need it at? So maybe I can issue a warning ticket, a citation, and then what can I do to provide that information back to the customer or to the citizen? How is that information going to flow back to them? So, I don't want to have to write it down. And if it's in a mobile device, how does that information flow when I'm not connected somewhere? Next. So obviously we have officer safety is a huge concern. Again, when I'm working remotely, I've got to have, there again, my attention needs to be focused on the transaction, on the people. I don't want to have to spend a lot of effort trying to get this identity information because I'm working remotely or not connected. It has to be efficient. There again, if I'm not connected somewhere in the mountains or in a valley, I still have to be able to verify the identity. I don't want to have to go back to my source or to my main office or my fixed location. Compatibility is important. Even when I work remotely, I may be around other wireless technology. And is there going to be interferences? Is there going to be challenges with getting this information remotely to whatever device or system that I may be capturing at? I need to make sure there's not interference with that. And there again, interoperability. I mentioned, if I'm a hunting and fishing licenses, can even those things be compatible with a regular driver's license or ID card? So those are all important things that a law enforcement officer is saying, I need to have this information and it needs to be able to play nicely with my other technology and other devices.